Hello guys, Dongster signing on. In this video, we will discuss more about Venom since one of my most viewed videos is all about Venom, and so I decided to take a deep look on how Venom was created and where it all started and its origin. Venom is a character appearing in American comic book published by Marvel Comics. The character is a sentient symbiote with an amorphous liquid-like form who survive by bonding with a host, usually human. These dual lives receive enhanced power and usually refers to itself as Venom. The symbiote was originally introduced as a living alien costume in The Amazing Spider-Man number 252 in May 1984, with a full first appearance as Venom in The Amazing Spider-Man number 300 in May of 1988. The Venom symbiote's first human host was Spider-Man himself, who eventually discovered its true nefarious nature and separated himself from the creature. In The Amazing Spider-Man number 252, November of 1984, with a brief rejoining 5 months later in Web of Spider-Man number 1. The symbiote went on merge with other hosts, beginning with Eddie Brock, its second and best known host, with whom it first became Venom. Venom was endured as one of Spider-Man's most prominent villains and was initially regarded as one of the three arch-enemies alongside the Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus. Since his debut, however, Venom was evolved into anti-heroic figure, slowly distancing himself from his initial goal to ruin Spider-Man's life to try and do good instead, even putting aside his differences with and helping Spider-Man at times. After Brock, numerous other hosts for Venom followed. Some of the most notable are the villain Mac Gargan, who was the main incarnation of Venom from 2005 to 2009, and Flash Thompson, who became the superhero agent Venom from 2011 to 2016 before Venom returned to Brock in 2017. Venom's most recent and current host is Brock's biological son Dylan. Venom is also depicted as having spawned several children: Scream, Lasher, Phage, Agony, Riot, Mania, Sleeper, and most notably Carnage, who becomes Venom's arch-enemy after being bound to serial killer Cletus Cassidy. A fan favorite character and well-known figure in popular culture, Venom, primarily the Eddie Brock incarnation, is the most recognizable Spider-Man antagonist not first introduced during the original Lee Ditko run. He has been featured various media adaptations of Spider-Man over the years, including feature films, television series, and video games. The character was portrayed by Tobey Maguire and Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3 2007, with Tom Hardy primarily portraying the character in the Sony Spider-Man Universe films Venom 2018 and Venom Let There Be Carnage 2021, as well as an uncredited post-credit scene appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe film Spider-Man No Way Home 2021. Eddie Brock incarnation of Venom is among Spider-Man's most famous rogue and regarded by many as dark reflection of the hero. Comics journalist and historian Mike Conroy writes the character, what started out as a replacement costume for Spider-Man turned into one of the Marvel web stinger's greatest nightmares. Venom was rated 33rd on Empire's 50 greatest comic book characters and ranked 22nd on IGN's 100 greatest comic villains of all time. Conception and creation. The original idea of a new costume of Spider-Man that would later become the character Venom was conceived by Marvel Comics reader from Norwich, Illinois named Randy Schuller in 1982. Jim Shooter, Marvel's editor-in-chief at that time, sent Shooter a letter acknowledging Marvel's interest in the idea, which they ended up purchasing from him for $220. Shooter came up with an idea of switching Spider-Man to black and white costume, possibly influenced by intended costume design for the new Spider-Woman. Artist Mike Zeck and Rick Leonardi designed the black costume. Writer-artist John Byrne says on his website that conceived a costume of self-healing biological material when he was the artist of the Iron Fist. To explain how that character's costume was consistently being torn and apparently repaired by the next issue, Byrne says, explaining that he ended up not using the idea of that title, but that Roger Stern later asked him if he could use the idea of Spider-Man's alien costume. Stern in turn plotted the issue in which the costume first appeared but then left the title. It was writer Tom DeFalco and artist Ron Frenz who established that the costume was a sentient alien being that was vulnerable to high sonic energy during their run on the Amazing Spider-Man that preceded David Michelin. With the nature of the symbiote established, Michelin felt it could serve a character concept he had been toying with for some time. When Michelin first began working on Spider-Man stories, he noted that the most unique ability Spider-Man possessed as a superhero was his spider sense, which Michelin claimed gave the character a level of invulnerability on par or better than much stronger Marvel superhero, which other Spider-Man's antagonists such as the Green Goblin and Mysterio had been able to temporarily disable Spider-Man's spider sense. Though chemical means, Michelin was fascinated by the idea of a villain who could permanently evade Spider-Man's spider sense in that kind of consequences that would have on both Spider-Man as a superhero and Peter Parker's personal life. After initially coming up with characters who were able to evade Spider-Man's spider sense, though cybernetic means that were rejected by Marvel editors, Michelin posited that the symbiote would make a human host be able to evade Spider-Man's spider sense through it being mutated by absorbing Spider-Man's genetic material when Spider-Man was its host. The idea was approved by Marvel editors and Michelin was given the green light to further refine the character. Symbiote was the first introduced Spider-Man's new black costume in The Amazing Spider-Man number 252 on May 1984 and was part of a story called Homecoming. The story takes place after Spider-Man's return from the events of miniseries Secret Wars, where he first obtained the black costume. The full first appearance of Venom in The Amazing Spider-Man number 300 on May 1988 after the symbiote bonds with Eddie Brock.